Ow.
All right. You guys all ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let me make sure stream's up. Stream is up. All right, whenever you're ready, Joey.
All right. Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pizzas Here podcast, your home for all news and content surrounding the Washington Capitals and the NHL. Today we're joined by another special guest, Richard Blosser, host of the Grit and Bear It podcast. How's it going, Richard?
Going good, guys. Fresh off of a win there at Giant Center this week, and good to be on the program. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being here. All right, so we've got some questions for you to start off. So let's just get right into it. How did the Grit and Bear It podcast first get started, and how long has it been running now?
Well, the podcast first started when I decided to go out on my own from Maryland Sports Blog. It was originally called the Perched on the Ice, part of their couple Perched podcasts they did. I decided to go out on my own because I wanted to do the show by myself instead of having a regular co-host, just scheduling and all that. But unfortunately, I decided to do that. I don't know when the pandemic started. So that really was not good timing, at least for me. But once the world slowly started getting right, I decided to start this podcast devoted to the Hershey Bears because I'm just a fan and I love talking about them. And I asked a lot of the fan base for a good name for them, and we decided to come up with Grit and Bear It because we all know coaches love that grit, and just Bear is just the Bears. So that's really how the birth came to be. I've been just this past week, I hit about doing 1 year of doing this podcast and being nearly a year with the Hockey Podcast Network, and it's been a hell of a ride. I've enjoyed it. It's a lot of hard work, but I've enjoyed doing this.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're just hitting around 1 year now, like right around this time of year, also coming up. So that's exciting. Congrats for that.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
me
you so
some
much.
shrimp and grits. So, you said it's been about a year. So, what are a couple of your favorite memories thus far, just being a podcaster?
First off was being brought into the Hockey Podcast Network. Before I officially started doing this in January, I made contacts with them. They have a podcast for nearly every team on there, and just started talking to them. And they said, get this amount of listeners, and we'll bring you in. I was able to do that, and they've been a real benefit for me, letting me do a lot of things creatively in terms of doing like a little side project over the summer called Game Over, which is where we said goodbye to each and every NHL team as they were eliminated regular season and or playoffs. And that was a lot of fun to do. One of my highlights was talking to a YouTuber called Urinating Tree. Don't let the name fool you. He is a great YouTuber. I see that.
He's our next guest.
Yeah, he's
thanks
coming
to
on in like
Joey.
a week.
Yes.
Awesome, man.
Joey grabbed him for us.
Awesome.
Shout out Joey and early guest release. We got Urinating Tree next week, thanks to our very own Joseph. But as you were saying,
I love talking to him because of we both share a love of hockey, and me and him are very similar in a way. And I like the success that he has. He's just a good sports fan mind to talk to. Another highlight was talking to former Hershey Bear and former Washington Capital Carl Alsner back in March, and his time with the Hershey Bears as well. He is so far the first and only professional athlete or hockey player I've had on the show. But that's just a few of the highlights that I've had, and hopefully more to come.
Man, I don't know how everybody keeps getting Carl Alsner on their show. He hasn't opened
Carl
a single
Alsner
one of
seems
my
like the guy to
DMs.
get.
He hasn't opened a single one of my DMs, and he's
Mine
been on
neither.
like 3 different people's shows that we've talked to.
I guess I'm just real lucky. I was very amazed. Like he DM'd back. He's like, "Yeah, sure. What time? Excuse me. What? You? Me?"
That's how I felt
Yeah.
when we got Joe Beninati, because he was our first big guest, and then he DMs me back. He's like, "Check your email. I sent you a message." And I was like, "Man," I was like, "Whoa." Like, you're
The
talking to me.
great Joe Beninati.
Yeah,
He's a
pretty
legend
awesome.
for sure.
Great voice.
Yeah, well, that's probably our favorite episode. But do you have a favorite episode of yours, of all the episodes you've made of your podcast over the past year? Any like guests you've liked the best? Obviously, Carl's was probably up there, but any of them like your favorite personally?
One episode back at the Stanley Cup Finals was called a hack's guide to the Stanley Cup Finals, sort of it's sort of copying what Tree did in a way, copying maybe bad choice of words, but maybe my own version of it. Just because I love the rapid fire and improv style of doing that. That's kind of my strength. And just doing that was a lot of fun as well. Other than that, I don't really have a certain episode that stands out as my favorite, because I've done so many in so many different formats. It's hard to really like nail down just certain one. I mean, I've got a holy grail of a guest that I'd like to get, but that's for another show. But I've just done so many, it's just hard to nail down just one.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite topics to talk about on your podcast?
I love recapping Bears games, because I add like my own flair to it. To anyone who's ever listened, especially now during the season, it is a very high energy, sort of scatterbrained and erratic pace to it, because that's just how my head's wired. That's just how I think. I have an ADHD mind. And if I can tell your listeners this, and I wear that as a badge of honor, if I can tell your listeners this, I have no scripts when I do my show. You guys have an itinerary, bless you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has a different style, but what I do is from the hip and from the mind, because I'm not affiliated with the Bears in any way. I am not employed. I am not on their radar by any means. I am a normal fan just like everybody else. I put on my blue jeans, I go to work, I complain about my boss, I complain about coworkers, and I bitch about other people just like everyone else. Hockey is my happy place, just like all your listeners. So I want to. That's kind of like one of the things I do with the shows. That's the connection that I build with fans. I'm just a regular fan. I'm not with the Bears in any way. So that's when I talk about these games, it's like I'm watching it in a bar with everybody, and we're just having a couple wings and a beer and maybe some mozzarella sticks.
Are you from the Hershey area, by the way?
I live in the central PA area. I live near Harrisburg.
Okay, yeah, I have family in Reading. That's why I was wondering. So
Yeah, I got family down in York. So
we travel to me and my hockey friends. We make an annual trip to Reading to see the Royals.
yeah.
They're an ECHL team.
Mhm.
We go there, we watch the hockey game, and we leave. But in all seriousness, we love going to Reading. We have a few friends that are season ticket holders there, and that's one other thing we do. Unfortunately this year, due to the state of the world, we're not able to do a lot of hockey trips and some other personal things with me as well. But yeah, we go to Reading once a year. I was just there on New Year's Eve for their New Year's Eve game. So yeah. But yeah, like when I love recapping Bears games, and I love just nitpicking stories from all over the NHL world. I try to and cover NHL from time to time, not a lot, because I take up so much time talking about the Bears. I don't like making like really long podcasts, like only maybe like 30 to 45 minutes, because that's the world we live in. It's go, go, go. Listen to your podcast at 1.5 times speed. Go, go. On to the next episode.
Yeah, we're working on the time part of podcasting.
I
It's a
do.
gradual process. So you typically in an episode like today, we'd be jumping into the Capitals' recent results right about now, but we're gonna do that later. As we have a Hershey Bears, expert guest here with us today. We're talking about the Bears first. So the Bears, correct me if I'm wrong, but they just finished a triple header tonight, right? That's
They-
insane.
they
I can't imagine how bad the Capitals would do if they had to play a game 3 days in a row.
That'd be 2 empty net open goals.
But
actually, lads, make that 4. We did 4 games in 5 days. Wednesday,
saw that,
Friday,
right.
Saturday, Sunday.
That's insane.
And we went 3-1 in that stretch. So yeah.
I played ball hockey last week, and I'm still feeling crippled by the soreness. This is some BS.
It's sidetrack real quickly. Try doing that when you're on the road trip with the lads, which me and the guys have done. One of the first trips we did 2 games in Providence, Rhode Island, 7 o'clock, and then a 3 o'clock game in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is about 2 hours west. We literally got up that Sunday morning and we're like, we got to pack up. We're going to Bridgeport. Load up the car. We'll get coffee on the way.
That's funny. Yeah, me and Joey's men's league got canceled this morning because of the ice
I
on the
wasn't even
roads.
gonna go.
Yeah.
I was getting ready. I was getting ready to leave, and I got the message saying it got canceled. So that was upsetting. But as we were saying with the Bears, on Friday they lost 3-5 at the Syracuse Crunch, and then on Saturday they won 3-0 against the Penguins, not the Pittsburgh Penguins, but the Penguins of the AHL. And then tonight they won 3-2 against the same team. So that's awesome. But obviously we're around a third into the season for the AHL, and the Bears right now are in 8th place in the whole league and second in the Atlantic Division. So what do you think, Richard, has led to the team's success at this point, despite having players called up and sent back down so often from Washington?
Getting healthy has been one of the big things. Navigating through injuries has pretty much been a minefield for us, just hoping we can get through 2 weeks without players getting injured. Mike Vecchione, who is third in the team in the assists, has only played about half to 3/4 of the games of everyone. And he's a real passing threat, a real pile-up assist guy. He was like that way with the Phantoms in their system. And it seems like he really fits in with the Bears speed system as well. And having him healthy's really helped, having AJ healthy. There was a real time about mid-November to around Thanksgiving when we had injuries and call-ups, and just it was like the Bears and the Capitals just couldn't stay healthy. And actually the 10-day COVID shutdown we kind of had for us was a real benefit. It allowed guys to get healthy. And I know it's a statement that's overused in sports, but next man up, the Bears have pretty much had that. We've had guys who have stepped into the bottom 6 and helped out. The defense has been very solid. They've really gelled and come together, and the goaltending's been really solid as well. So the Bears, while we've played a really bad Wilkes-Barre team 5 times in the past month, you can't help who you play. You beat the teams that are in front of you, and you've gobbled up points there to really jump up in the standings. So it's been great to see these boys come up, but it's not going to be any easier as we get out, as this month will be very home heavy, and we'll have a lot of travel over the next 2 months, especially into a very competitive North Division, which is where Syracuse is a part of.
Yeah, it's been a struggle this year staying healthy for a lot of teams, both NHL and AHL. So hopefully that can improve as the season goes on, but my hopes aren't very high.
Well, the return of the taxi squad, which I'm sure you guys have covered as well, has actually kind of benefited Hershey a bit because it's allowed the Capitals to take 6 players as a buffer and rotate them in and out of the lineup, whether it's COVID, injuries, both, or whatever. So instead of directly pulling from Hershey, they kind of have this separate pool to deal with, and it allows Hershey to get continuity and chemistry among the guys that are down there. Will a player or two get called up? Sure. But it's not like before where we had 3 or 4 guys directly called up to DC and back on a weekly basis. So that's been a big help as well.
Well, you answered one of the other questions I was going to ask you, but I'll go ahead and ask you this one. So, like, when you look at Hershey, there are a couple guys that you kind of expect to be in an NHL lineup eventually. I think Alexiev would be the first one that comes to mind. When McMichael was down there, we knew he was going to be an NHL regular. Is there anybody maybe that the NHL community doesn't talk about as much that you think is a little under the radar, but has a really good chance to make an impact, maybe in DC and maybe on another NHL roster in the coming future or the near future?
Well, one player that got picked up on waivers before the season started was AJ. Axel Johnson Fialbi. We just call him AJ for short. A lot easier. Beautiful hair. Go Google it. His hair is fantastic.
He's better than Carl Haglin.
That's not a very high bar to get over. But moving on, he is just his speed game has really improved this year. Like the term Jets is really with AJ. He is one of the most exciting players in Hershey, to where when he gets the puck, you're like, watch him. He's going to do something. He's developed a really wicked wrister from the top circles to where he's turning that into where he can roof it on a headshot, but also getting it past on blocker sides as well, depending upon the goalie. So AJ's really developed and stepped up his game as well. Joe Snidely and Shane Gersich recently have been on really good scoring streaks as well. They've really gotten hot, especially Snidely had a really good game the other night against Wilkes-Barre. And I think the Capitals should take a better look into him, to someone they could throw in on their bottom 6. You brought up Alexiev. He's been a solid defenseman, not much of a scorer, but a really solid defenseman as well. So there's a lot of good. There is a lot of prospects that are coming up that I think the Capitals are really going to use, unlike in previous years where they've just sat in the farm system to rot and then be exchanged for other high-end talent or draft picks.
What do you think about Lucas Johansson? I know he played 1 or 2 games for us a week or 2 ago, and he got an assist in his first game off of a deflected pass. But what do you think about him?
It's been a long time coming for him. He's been with the organization 5 or 6 years, and the term never stay healthy has come to mind with him. He just, every year he was with us, it was something. Leg, arm, something. He'd always get injured. The joke was he signed an extension and he's out 2 weeks for a sprained wrist. He just couldn't stay healthy. And now this year, he got a chance to get called up with DC thanks to the taxi squads and the state of the world. And it was good for him. I hope that that the organization having faith in him is going to be paying off. And as long as he can stay consistently healthy, outside of a few bumps and bruises, I think the Capitals really are going to take a solid look at him. But he's also been around in the organization for a while. It might be one of those show us, or he might be trade bait.
Definitely hurts when you see guys like Alex DeBrincat and Adam Fox who were taken after him. But I mean, that's the story of a lot of players, right? And it says more about the organization's missing than the player themselves. But
we literally drafted Philip Forsberg.
The Bruins come to mind when you talk about missed draft picks. They had 3 picks in a row, and they could have gotten Kyle Connor and
Matt Barzal.
There's 9 other people that are all-stars right now on that list, and they ended up taking Jake DeBrusk and 2 no names who don't play in the NHL or something.
DeBrusque isn't half bad.
DeBrusque. They've been
times.
trying to move DeBrusque for like 2 years now.
He
it
asked for a
seems
trade
like.
like a
They're
month
always
ago.
talking. They're
And
always
nobody
talking
wanted
about moving
But
him.
yeah, like you said, they could have drafted Barzell. Imagine a Boston Bruins number 13 Matt Barzell. Just picture that in your mind.
It's not.
Oh, I already
actually.
hate
Imagine
that.
I have a
Kyle
better
Connor
idea.
on. Imagine Kyle Connor, Matt Barzell, and Brad Marchand on a line together.
Listen, I
That's
already
I'm
hate
sorry.
Matt Barzell enough. I don't need him on the Bruins.
If you have, but seriously though, you look at that Boston team. If they had Barzal and Kyle Connor
That
and
doesn't fix their problems.
throw Taylor Hall in that other wing. I mean that top six is just.
Wasn't Brock Besser
It's
in
a lot
that
better than
draft
ours this
too,
year.
or was it someone else?
They could actually be more than a one-line team.
Never
Well, now they're a two-line team, sorta, because they put Pasta on the second line this week, so that'll be interesting to see if that works out.
like
We actually
the
the Caps play the Bruins tomorrow, and me and Joey are going, so that'll be a fun time.
Have fun,
I'll
enjoy
be
it.
on an airplane, so you're welcome for the Ovechkin hat trick.
Thank you for that.
Happy, bro. I'm gonna toss my fucking hat from the top row. But speaking of memories of Ovechkin hat tricks and all that stuff, you've obviously been a fan of the Hershey Bears for a long time. There's a lot of great things that's happened. Obviously, one of the most successful AHL franchises of all time. What's your favorite memory? I mean, obviously the Calder Cup wins are probably going to come to mind, but do you have a memory besides those, or maybe just those? It's totally normal. We're all still living off the 2018 high, so I mean, Calder Cup wins are probably going to be favorites to yours. But is there anything else that's favorite?
Well, I did. My first year I went, I got to see the 09-10 team, which we call the God Mode team, which got 60 wins in an 80-game season, which we will never ever see again. Just a team that ran roughshod through their 11th Calder Cup, and my favorite memory, my favorite game, is May 15th, 2016, Game 7 against Wilkes-Barre Scranton. It was a Sunday afternoon game and just a really hard-fought game. The Bears had some really good players on there, but Wilkes-Barre had DeSmith, Getzel, Sprong, Dumoulin, a lot of future Pens.
That's a good ass team.
That would become a part of their back-to-back squads on their team, and it was a hard-fought game. They tied it late in the third, and then with about 9 minutes into overtime, Travis Boyd with a parallel goal shot that sneaks by Casey DeSmith over the shoulder, catches the corner, and the whole place just goes nuts. Yours truly, I jumped, I hugged my friend who doesn't typically like it, in just pure Game 7 joy. Like my legs gave out from just jumping so much.
Yo, I'm looking at this team's roster, and the top two scorers, you had Keith Aucoin with 106 points, and you have Alexander Giroux with 103 points. Chris Bork was on this team, Matthew Perreault. There was John Carlson and Jay Beagle. I think John Carlson got called up that year.
He did.
He only played a little bit. And then, of course, the goaltending, if you thought the goaltending's insane, it's Semyon Varlamov, Michael Neuwirth, and Braden Holtby all played at some point in the season.
God.
And that was Holtby's rookie year. He was just he was not the bearded wonder yet. He was just a rookie that year.
We breed Vezina caliber goalies.
And then but on that team, Hershey had number 1 and number 2 in the league in scoring. In the league. Number 1 and number 2.
Well, we have seen that doesn't necessarily always equal team success.
Correct.
You still thinking
I didn't even say that. That was someone else down there.
Listen, I would take the Oilers over the Jets in that series every day for the rest of my life. I don't regret anything.
Yeah, you know what wouldn't is reality wouldn't take that.
The
Jets.
You didn't have Montreal in the final. Like no one had Montreal in the final. You're not gonna sit there.
Joey said that that the Panthers were gonna go to
Dude,
the cup last
okay.
year or something.
At least mine was based off some actual stats.
Will had the Oilers going to the final.
You think the Oilers beating the Jets was not based off You're trolling. Okay,
they had one line.
Do you know the hardest working person that entire series was? The Bud Light Seltzer mascot in Winnipeg in Game 4. That was the hardest. Who's sitting there in the building all by himself, like.
like Carlton
just
now
chilling.
with the Leafs.
That's
He's
kind of
been
a
chilling
sick
out.
gig.
That's a sick job, though. Yeah, you're probably
That'd be
getting
fun.
paid money.
That'd be really
Probably
fun.
Yeah,
getting
just
paid
paid
good
to
money.
sit there.
That'd be really fun.
Get paid to sit there and watch playoff hockey. That's dope.
Mhm. And watch the Oilers die.
Wait, I just have a question about like a game that you've been to. Have you been to the games where they throw all the stuffed animals on the ice?
The teddy bear toss.
Yeah, teddy bear
yes,
toss,
actually,
yeah.
that is actually coming up on the 22nd.
Nice.
Next.
Jake, do you want to go?
Yeah, if I can make it. I
Dude,
mean,
I'm
I'm
gonna
all the way
I'm
here
gonna
in
be at the
Morgantown.
Caps game that night. I can't make it. I'm gonna be at the Caps game.
I
What
will be
day
in
of the week is that going
Uh,
to be on? It's the 22nd
Yeah.
of January.
Yes, next Saturday.
That is
Capitals
next.
face.
Okay, I could probably go to that.
Come on up.
I might be able
Come
to
on
go
up.
to that. It'd be like a 2.5 hour drive, but I'll do it.
Do it. We have chocolate.
That's true. Dude, they have chocolate.
First chocolate bars on you.
If I meet up with you guys and it's early enough, take you over to Chocolate Room.
Sweet.
It's open.
Um,
Buy the 1 pound chocolate bar, and whoever loses in the playoffs this year, the earliest, has to eat it on a podcast.
I bought the hot ones, like the spiciest hot sauce, like that they have on that show. I have it now, and that could be brutal someday if I ever tweet something stupid. But
yeah, I've been there for many teddy bear toss. The last one before this whole pandemic stuff, we threw nearly 45,000 teddy bears onto the ice, and most AHL teams, when they do their teddy bear toss, the bears get thrown on. 5 or 10 minutes later, teams are playing. When the Bears do it, we literally have to do a dry scrape, and it's about a 25-minute delay. If there's less than 10 minutes in the period, they just say, we're closing down the period, and we'll just add the time on in the second. That's happened. So I've already got
That's awesome.
I've got about 7 Walmart bags of teddy bears I've collected through my work. Me and my friends, my crew, we will have several seats dedicated to them up in 217. So Bears fans have waited nearly 2 years for this event to come back. So we are ready, and it's for an amazing cause. Why they are having it in January, we have no idea. But
so I know the Bears are doing well this year, and like Joey said, they're one of the most successful AHL teams ever. They have 11 Calder Cups, I believe, and I think they've appeared in 23.
Correct.
So do you think they have a legitimate shot of winning this year, and do they compare to any of the other Calder Cup teams that you've seen in the past?
A lot of Bears championship teams were mostly underdog teams. There are a couple teams that were very dominant. A team in 1988 won a perfect 12-0 in the postseason. In 09 and 10, of course, the team I mentioned, but a lot of other teams were plucky underdog teams, and I think this team can do that. A team that just slowly gets better throughout the year and starts playing their best hockey in March and April, which is around the time you do want to peak at whether it's the NHL or the AHL. So I think this team can. There are some very good teams in the American Hockey League right now. The Utica Comets, the Chicago Wolves, the Stockton Heat are the top 3 teams in the league right now. The Bears, I think we are good enough to play and make a good deep playoff run. And as you guys have seen, in the playoffs, anything is possible. So I think that we always have cup aspirations. But this is a year where you look at this team and say, yes, this team can win a cup. I'm not quite there just yet, but it's starting to come together, which is a very good sign.
So that's obviously good news. If we think that the Bears have a shot, that's what we all want. And like you said, so right now in the AHL, the point standings, in first is the Chicago Wolves, and then in second is the Stockton Heat, and then like you said, third is the Utica Comets. So I'm guessing that you've watched at least a little bit of some of those teams, but if you had to pick someone right now or place a bet on somebody right now to win the Calder Cup, who would you put your money on?
Probably either Chicago or Stockton. I'm just going to lean slightly towards Chicago because that was the That is the Hurricanes farm system. Don't ask why their farm team's in Chicago. It'll make your head hurt the more you think about it. The Canes farm system has been very, very good the past 5 or 6 years. Even their team that won their Calder Cup in 18-19 was just so dominant. Jake Bean, Morgan Geekie, Alex Nedeljkovic, all of them are on the Hurricanes or elsewhere right now. And they just had a really good bump of crop of prospects just come through. And they're reloading the farm system, which is what you want to do, especially in the American Hockey League, where teams can pretty much fall off after a year if the prospect farm is not properly tended to, for better words. So out of more knowing the system better, I'm going to lean more towards Chicago, but I'm not counting any of the California teams out. I unfortunately have not seen any Stockton games out there, unfortunately.
I was watching a bar down quiz about like if they could name what the team is that's affiliated with each NHL team, and how some of them are just like so awkward, like oddly placed, like you said, how Chicago is affiliates with Carolina, and like isn't Syracuse affiliated with one of the Florida
Tampa.
teams? Yeah,
Tampa.
That's funny.
But hey, they
Whatever
love
works.
it. I mean, Tampa, a lot of their good players throughout their run came through Syracuse, annoyingly so. So if it works, no reason to change or to move them, even though I think the HL should try to venture into Florida. That's just me. Because I wouldn't mind the Bears having a weekend set down in Florida in January, February, or March, just saying.
They get AHL attendances in Miami with the Panthers, so they probably get more anyways.
I guess one thing that the players on Hershey are probably happy about is especially since we're a team that makes so many call ups and send downs so often, it's like they've only got a couple hours of a drive if they are going from one to the other. Imagine you're on Tampa Bay and like you're on that line where you keep getting called up or sent back, and you've got to drive halfway up the entire East Coast every time you get moved around. So that must stink.
It's a really good gig because you can literally call Hershey after morning skate and be like, "Hey, Samsonov's got a stomach bug. Can you send a guy?" Yeah, Copley, head down to DC and you can get down there before afternoon rush. It's really it's a really good gig.
Yeah, definitely.
We've it could be like with the Charlotte Checkers, who are splitting affiliate with the Seattle Kraken this year. Like Alexander True, one of their best prospects, he got called up, but they had to do it when Seattle was on an East Coast swing. It was literally meet him in Philadelphia and we'll take you around the East. And then he got sent back before they went back to Seattle. So that's sort of the game that gets played.
Yeah, I was about to ask because I remember that they've done some teams, like the Crunch had another team. They were doing it together. It was not just Tampa; it was another team that was sharing the affiliate. I know they're doing that recently because of just like COVID. Some of the teams have had to stop for a while, but I know that there's certain some are coming back, which is nice. But it's just it makes it so confusing because when you're sharing those teams, you're just very confused as two different GMs playing with one GM who's like, I have to make this team work, and then it's like, well, we have to make our team work, and we have to make our team I could never be like an AHL GM because you got two voices in your head like that, and you also have to worry about ECHL. It's nuts.
Well, one thing we've seen with cities like Syracuse and Springfield, who have had a ton of affiliates over the years, especially Springfield, you don't see a lot of NHL jerseys there. You'll see a lot of Springfield jerseys there, but you won't see a lot of NHL jerseys there. And that's something, if you don't have an affiliation for the longest time, fans won't connect with your parent club because you're changing them as often as people change T-shirts. So it's just, that's just, we've had a lot of affiliation jumping over the years. But it seemed like the late 2010s that really seemed to settle down until the new teams came into the league. Really excited for the Coachella Valley Firebirds next year. See what they'll do.
That's gonna be sick.
I wanted Dragons. That was one of the options. I voted for Dragons, but Firebirds won.
I feel like that fits them better.
I just want a team.
I like Firebirds. That reminds me of the car, but I think Coachella Valley isn't the greatest sounding because that makes me think of whatever the music festival or.
One of the other, I'm a friend, one who runs one of the retreat groups that I'm with, lives out in Coachella Valley, and he was like, "Yeah, that represents the area a lot better than Palm Springs." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, if that works out there and attracts more people, fine, more power to you."
Yeah. So, I think one of the next questions you answered pretty well, but we're gonna go to the next question. Is you obviously recently we've seen Zach Fucale step in and make some very critical starts. Last night he was spectacular, and if it wasn't for Carl Haglin, he probably would have won that game. And then he shut out the Detroit Red Wings in his first game. Obviously he's been impressive and he's had some great performances. Do you think like that's going to affect the goalie situation? More or less, what's your opinion on the Capitals and Bears goalie situation? Because right now in flux, we have obviously Copley is floating around there somewhere between the two sometimes. You have Fucale and then Vanacek and Samsonov, and then obviously the Bears goalies. I don't know them super well, but like, do you see any others making a supreme impact? Like, where do you think the four of them all end up in reference to the end of the season?
Well, before the taxi squad started, obviously you have Sammy and VTech up there, and love that VTech's getting the time. We loved him down here in Hershey. Love that he's having so well. Zach Fucale is doing very good for himself, especially with a lot of the taxi squad stuff that was coming up. We always thought that with the way the goalie situation set up, and we have Hunter Shepard, who's jumped between the AHL and the East Coast Hockey League as well. Phoenix Copley seems to be the odd man out right now. And I was telling my friends at the trade deadline, look over your shoulder, because we were thinking that he might get shipped out. Because as another podcast, the AHL Farm Stand has said during the Bears season preview, and this really stuck with me, Copley's 29. About 20, entering 29. That's starting the back end of the roller coaster in terms of you're a goalie. Not saying he isn't serviceable, but he's had a lot of years there in Hershey and in DC, and we honestly just don't think Copley fits in the plans. Is he nice to call up? Yes. Is he going to be your number two? I don't think so, because the team's very invested in Vanacek, and if Fucale starts playing well, that could be a solid third option and number one down here in the AHL. And if you're just Copley, it's like, is this really your ceiling, being a number one American Hockey League goalie, when you see other teams around the league, like, say, Dallas could really use another goaltender right now? Teams will...
Brain Holtby slander. Come on now.
Oh, no, not him. Kudobin.
Oh, that's fair.
I was talking about Kudobin.
Kudobin is
and some guy named Ottinger. Anyway, I've already forgotten his name. You could bring in Copley, who could be a solid number two, or a team that could use a good solid backup. And he's about, I think, like a 1.8 mil cap hit. I think I don't have that in front of me, unfortunately, but I think Copley's the odd man out in this, because you got Fucale, who's a seasoned veteran you could rely on, and somewhat cheap as well. You got some guys in the pipeline that could come in. Hunter Shepard's been doing decently in here, and another player down in South Carolina called Ryan Bernard, who stepped up when we really needed him through COVID. So there's about 5 or 6 goalies I've mentioned, and somebody's got to be on the way out, and I think it just might end up being Copley.
Zach Fucale is the best goalie in the Washington Capitals organization. Anybody can disagree with me if they want, but that's my take until he does something to prove it wrong. He's the best goalie in this organization. I will take no further questions.
I think what's interesting about Fucale is the Capitals always seem to have this monkey wrench into their goalie situation. It always seems to constantly come in. Because what's it called? Last season, we were like, Henrik Lundqvist and Samsonov. Then Henrik Lundqvist got a heart condition, had to retire, and Samsonov crashed an ATV. So now it's like, and then Vanacek stepped in and became our everyday guy, and it was incredible. And then Samsonov this year has been good. And then the year before that, Samsonov stepped in when Holtby was still here during the season that was cut short due to the pandemic. And it was like he was playing really well, and Holtby was sort of kind of showing like, this is kind of the end. And then even before that, Grubauer with Holtby, where he almost usurped Holtby in the cup run here. Like, we always seem to have a situation where it's like, if you're going to come and play in Washington, you're in a fight for every single start you get, because it's
until we trade for Fleury. Anyway,
shut up.
No, do not speak that evil. No.
I feel like
No.
I
I've
feel
already
like
had to deal with my
No,
fiance
we're in
getting
full
into
support of
debate.
that here.
love it.
Darth Vader still had good in him. I don't see why Marc-Andre Fleury can't. That's all I'm saying.
you know, you're comparing Marc-Andre Fleury to a person in a space opera who was technically genocidal.
Marc-Andre Fleury was our Darth Vader. He genocided the Capitals playoff
That's
votes,
not-
okay?
Oh my god, you can't say that.
What did he say?
I'm just kidding.
So what you're saying was that he slaughtered the Capitals multiple times?
Yeah, you can
Like
Slaughtered our playoff
younglings?
yeah, honestly, like
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting. Our goalie situation has always been that weird, like it's never been set in, like even with the fact that Holtby was it from basically 2012 to 2019-20. Like even then it was like there were times where it was like, oh shit, like Grubauer is going to be good and take him over, and Samsonov's looking like the future. Like it's really interesting to think that, like, you know, I would love for Samsonov to be the future number one goaltender. I would love for Vanacek to be a great tandem with him. Like I would love all these things, but like I just don't know. And now with Fucale playing well, of course, EA's favorite goaltender, like we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season, because at this point we could end up starting Fucale in the playoffs with how things are going. Honestly, it's incredible.
Madness. Delicious madness.
All right, it's time for everyone's favorite part of their episodes. I got to do the Manscaped read this today. Obviously, our podcasts are sponsored by Manscaped. Cheers to 2022 and resolutions you can actually keep. How about having clean and shiny balls all year round? Our sponsors at Manscaped are here to save your balls this year and make the ball drop into 2022, the cleanest and sexiest ever. Set your first New Year's resolution with good intentions and join the 4 million worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use code PHP for 20% off plus free shipping. Again, get 20% off and free shipping with the code PHP at manscaped.com.
Go use our code, boys and girls.
Go use the code.
Yes,
Boys
please. We're
and
getting new
girls.
products. Actually, we just got sent new products this week. It's pretty awesome.
I got it. Yeah, can't wait to use them.
Shout out Manscaped.
Shout out Manscaped.
So that brings us to the Washington Capitals, everyone's
Great.
favorite NHL team. So as we've seen this week, we had two games just since our last episode. So on Friday, we lost 5-1 at the Blues. And then yesterday we lost in the shootout 2-3 at the Wild, even them being without like 9 of their regular starters. So that's great for us. But
Look, I don't speak for all of us usually, but I think we can all agree that the player we're going to call and that we don't like is Carl Haglin. So can we just get out of the way right now? Because Carl Haglin, what the hell? Like
what I was gonna say is those were two of. Hold on, I can't hear.
Nobody was talking.
Richard was talking. It just thing says he's muted.
you're muted, Richard.
You're muted right now.
You got to click the unmute thing on your.
You're all muted.
Somebody muted me.
Oh, it was a complete accident. We do that for the Manscaper just to make sure it goes correctly. Sorry.
I was gonna. All I was saying was, Carl, that scores goals for the other team. And for anybody who gets that reference, I love you.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Dude, llamas with hats. That was my shit.
Oh, now I get it. Now I get it. Wait,
Dude,
now that
that
you
was
say
my
it. Yeah,
shit
yeah,
back
yeah,
then.
yeah. Okay, what I was gonna say is those are two of the most Capitals losses I have ever seen. Because
Yeah.
against the Blues, you have a team that looked like they could have scored 4 goals in the first 10 minutes of the game, and then they just completely deflated. Like they turned into Tom Brady's footballs against the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they just out of nowhere just deflated.
Someone write that down.
After 10 minutes of what I thought was like some of the best hockey they played all year. Then against the Minnesota Wild, I mean, do I even need to say anything? The 2 goals they gave up were Carl Hagelin shooting it into his own net on a delayed penalty, and a goal with the Minnesota net empty with 36 seconds left when Ovechkin wasn't on the ice. I took very note of that. if he was on the ice, he would have scored an empty netter, and it all would have been fine.
I like Will's post game comments. This is
Yeah,
nice.
these are nice.
It was awful. I was really annoyed. I was really annoyed about the loss.
I should let you start this segment every week. I like that.
But that's all I have to say. Is like two of the most Capitals losses ever, and really, at least we should have at least gotten 3 points out of that stretch of games, given the injuries the Wild were facing and how well they looked against the Blues. And yet we get one, and here we are going to play Boston, and yeah, I was annoyed.
Get rocked.
Yeah. So we can go through a player that we liked and one that we disliked.
We're all gonna say Haglin.
I have someone other than Haglin. I mean, you guys can rant.
We're all gonna.
We
We should just honorably give it to Haglin.
I'm saying Haglin. I mean,
You guys can. I mean, I want to shit on Justin Schultz a little bit.
That's
so
fair. We'll let you shit on Justin Schultz, but also.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, Richard, did you get the chance to watch any of the two Caps games from this past week?
I did not because of the games that I was watching.
4
But
games in 5 days. That's understandable.
But the St. Louis one was a bit of a surprise. But if you see how good and deep the St. Louis Blues are, it's kind of not all that surprising. The Minnesota Wild, congratulations for getting their first win in nearly a month. With the Capitals, you could discount travel, and these are two teams you're probably never going to see again. At least I don't think so. Central teams you only play once or twice. But it sucks the way that you lost, other than just absolutely losing. What Carl Hagelin did, go to your room, young man, and do not speak to us. It seemed like just yet had the game in hand, and the Wild one is the one that really got away from you in a game that you were leading. St. Louis, not your night. You could just simply go, not your night. On to the next game.
Yeah, did you say the Wild's first win in a month?
Pretty much. I don't think
they hadn't won many games. Yeah.
They're still 21-10-2 though.
Yeah. Yes, but before they shut down 10 days before their Winter Classic.
Oh, that's right.
Because their Winter Classic was their first game in about 3 weeks, and it showed.
I see. Okay, that makes more sense. So did you have a player from, I guess, what you've seen of those two games that you think did well or did something positive?
Zach Fucali, good use as well. I am not saying that to suck up. I am not just randomly off the top of my head.
No, it's okay. We're all just mad because we were going to use him as our pick.
I claim him first.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think that the Wild loss, it just is so weird. It's just been such a weird time. The loss against the Devils a couple weeks ago, which I think
I was there.
Did we talk about that in last week's episode?
I think
it was a matinee game, and then we had an episode after.
That's right, we did. That was just a weird loss, but I was like, Devils are supposed to be pretty good, and I don't really hate it.
We should be beating the Devils.
We should be beating everybody.
Who hasn't?
Don't expect too much. And then of course you have the loss to the Blues. I kind of was numb to it once the fourth goal was scored. I was like, you can't really do much about that. But then the Wild loss, it's just the whole game when they're just not really doing a whole lot in the third period. I'm like, a 1-goal lead isn't exactly amazing. And wouldn't you figure it out? A 1-goal lead isn't exactly fun to protect because they scored and then they beat us in the shootout, which shouldn't exist, but it does. So we have to live with it.
How does Kuzi hit the post every time? Because
he's Kuzi. I would say the one benefit though, before I get to my best player, is that we are going to get back Oshie and Backstrom this week for sure. I'm pretty sure, which is great. And barring another injury, things should be fine. But if I had to pick my one player I actually like this week, Zach Fucali is the easy answer, but I think I'm going to go with who is it? It was Protas. I saw a tweet out there that Protas is genuinely an NHL ready player. We don't talk about this a lot, but the 2019 draft class for the Capitals might be their best draft class in a long time because you have Protas, Pilon, and McMichael as your first 3 picks. all three of them are NHL caliber players. Garrett Pion scored the team leading 11th goal today. I saw that tweet, and it was awesome. Protas has been playing regular minutes in the NHL and genuinely feels like he should be up here the rest of the season. You know, if it weren't for the fact that we're deep or the fact that somehow Carl Haglin has avoided the punishment and wrath of everybody else. And then, of course, you have Conor Mcmichael, who is going to be on the NHL roster for the rest of the season. So I genuinely think that Protas.
Don't pause. Keep going.
He's muted.
You got muted, yeah.
Did I mute myself? Oh, shit.
I didn't mute him.
That just randomly happened. But yeah, I think he's one of the best, if not the best from that draft, considering the value, because he's drafted in the 3rd round, I think, and he's now a regular in the NHL, which is pretty cool. All right.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Daniel Sprong.
What?
Oh,
No,
wait.
that-
You guys were both going to say Daniel Sprong?
I'm not.
I was just beating him to it, but Daniel
I
Sprong
wasn't
is
saying
my
Daniel
backup.
Sprong. No.
Zach
I-
McCauley was
I-
my first pick.
Yeah, I know.
but
It was mine too.
I feel like that was
'cause I think
everyone's first
everyone's
pick.
gonna be first pick, but
Yeah.
No, I had
happens
Sprong as my
every
first.
time. Every time.
Yeah. So
But,
you go ahead.
I was gonna say Conor Mcmichael because
Josh Blunderkin.
just like we've been wanting him to do, you know, he did like we've been wanting him in the roster for a while, and then you put him on the roster, start him, scores a goal, does what he do. No, I mean obviously it was a deflection, but still, like he looks very good when he's out there, and it's something we've been yelling on Twitter about for a while. Like when he's not on the roster, he's how he was scratched the other night. I know that, so like that's why I'm picking him, just because I know he could. He plays well and scored a goal. So
And
like,
Haglin is your not so happy.
of course it is.
Okay.
I mean,
I was kind of hoping McMichael was going to get one more season in Hershey this year, but just doesn't feel like it's going to
I mean,
happen.
he's been playing. He looks, you know, he's very. I mean, really good. So I'm glad he's on the roster.
Yeah,
this year.
I'm just being greedy because
Yeah,
I'm just being greedy.
All right, so my player that I was happy with was going to be Zach Fucali. You know, like we said earlier, stellar performance yesterday. He just got an NHL record for the longest shutout time to start someone's NHL career. So that's awesome in itself. But he's really impressed me. He had arguably the save of the year in overtime yesterday, so that was sick. And then, you know, like I said, I think he's the best goalie in this organization. I'll stand by that. Anybody who disagrees is welcome to disagree, but that's my take on it until he does something to make me feel otherwise. But my backup is Daniel Sprong. I picked him a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to pick him again this week because, you know, he's one of those guys that Laviolette feels like scratching every other game, and isn't always putting the most faith into, but he had a nice wrister. What was it, yesterday? So that was a nice goal. So I'm proud of him for that, and hopefully he keeps shooting the puck and scores more. Obviously, Carl Haglin is the safe take to, you know, shit on someone for this week and someone that you're not happy with, and I mean that is justified. He shot the puck into our own empty net on a delayed penalty, so that's always fun when that happens to the Washington Capitals. You know, who else would that happen to? I believe it happened to Blackhawks like a really long time ago, but you know, that just summarizes the Capitals for you. But I'll say Justin Schultz as someone else other than Carl Haglin, because what was that? Was that yesterday against the Wild? Correct me if I'm wrong. The goal that got scored on us where he just fell down in the slot and slipped onto his stomach.
Blues. It was against the Blues.
Was that the Blues? Okay. Well, we did lose by 4 that game, but it would have been better to lose by 3 had he not slipped on his stomach and allowed such a wide open shot. So yeah. Anybody else have anybody for good?
I've got a couple that I liked. I was gonna say Daniel Sprong. I think he's been skating really, really well, really, really hard, and that's something that we really need to see from him. We need to see that speed, but we also need to see him skating hard. And I think that's something that he's been bringing lately, which is great. I have two players that I want to mention. First, I want to mention Nick Jensen, because Nick Jensen skates like a top 6 forward and he defends like a top 4 defenseman. The guy can literally skate like a top
Hell
6
yeah,
forward.
he does. If Cale Makar did anything that Nick Jensen did, the internet would blow up. But when
Okay,
Nick
stop.
Jensen does the same thing.
But I think Jensen is a great defenseman. If he had some hands on him, I think he could be one of the top guys in the league, but he's not quite there. But as far as skating, he's fantastic. He's got pretty good vision, shutdown
just
guy.
like Carl Haglin.
I think Jensen's hands are better than Haglin's, and he's a defenseman. I've also really liked Evgeny Kuznetsov. The Caps' first line, although the points haven't been there in the past couple weeks, they look like the best line on the ice every time they're on the ice. They look like the top trio in whatever game they're in. And I think the points are going to start falling for that line again, because they really just do get a lot of really, really good looks. So, and whenever you have a line giving a lot of good looks, you have to shift back to the center. And I think Kuznetsov at least deserves a lot of credit for the success of that first line. And I think the points will start falling. So I'm not too worried about the lack of production over the past few games, although not having OV goals sucks. As far as people who looked bad, I don't know if I'm just like hating on him to hate on him, but Lars Eller does this thing where he has a really good game and then I swear he's invisible for the next game, and I want the guy centering my second line to look better. I feel like the whole second line kind of goes invisible from game to game. And I know that really the second line is the third line. And so I guess I'm being a little harsh, but when you're getting the ice time that they're getting, I want to see some chances and some points. And when they're just vanishing, that's why we lose games against teams like the Wild, because we're not getting any looks from our second line. And I know that McMichael scored on the second, but I don't know. I've had some issue with Sherry and Eller together as of late.
Did I just hear Connor Sheary hate? Did I just hear that?
You're literally his.
I mean, I do
biggest
love
hater.
to see a short person.
I hate Connor Sheary
but,
so much.
yeah.
I hate him. When he
You're just
succeeds.
mad.
You want to know what's
shorter than
awesome?
you
You
is
want to know what's
successful.
awesome? Yes, we're going to be going to a game tomorrow against the Bruins. The last game I went to was the playoff game. We got eliminated against the Bruins. And you know, the only person who scored a goal for us in that game was Connor Sheary.
So why would you be mad at him if he's
Because
doing
I
something
shouldn't be
good?
going home from a game where Alex Ovechkin is in there and be saying Connor Sheary was the only person who scored a goal when I went to a Capitals game.
How is that
feels like
his fault? That
is
sounds
his
like
fault.
Alex Ovechkin's fault.
Don't you blame Alex Ovechkin?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's you heard it here first. We're looking for a new co-host, everybody.
Yeah, whatever.
But since we're on the subject of
Don't mind me. I'm just
Go
enjoying
ahead and start your rant, Joey.
so since we're on the subject of scoring goals and not scoring goals in this matter, there is a legitimate problem with the Capitals power play. There is. I think at the beginning of the season, when we thought all the injuries and stuff was like, you know what, missing Backstrom, Mantha, Oshie,
We are
all these
still
different
missing
guys.
Backstrom and Oshie, to be fair.
They've played enough to where I'm starting to get concerned. But like now it's like it's a systematic problem. When you look at the Capitals power play, they're not doing simple things that they should be doing to create chances. On a power play, there are about 3 simple things you can do on a power play to get chances to go in or at least get yourself a better chance to score a goal. Is move the puck constantly, always keep skating, and shoot the puck at the net. You have a man up. You have a chance to get open ice to shoot the puck. Why is John Carlson, a person we've paid $8 million to shoot the puck from the point on the power play, refusing to? I swear to you, that like I beg somebody to find a clip of Carlson on the power play over the past month, even shoot the puck from the point and to take a genuine shot. Orlov has.
He actually did that on our first power play yesterday.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't do
He
it
did
enough.
shoot
He
it
had like
from the
5.
point.
He did it like once. And like you don't create chances. I 100% understood. We wanted to get Ovechkin the record. We wanted to get him the record. That's fine. But I feel like we're at a little bit of an impasse here where we're like, his records are important, but we're also dealing with the fact that we're losing games because our power play is just not working. And that goes to one simple person in particular, a person who I've defended at times because of the injuries, and that is Blaine Forsythe. I don't know how Blaine Forsythe has had a top 10 power play the past 5 years, yet has been the most constantly just hated person until this season when I saw how the high-end talent has carried him. We're missing 3 people on the top power play we would have, and the power play has simply vanished. It has simply evaporated into thin air. And I feel like you can say what you will about it being missing, but you also have to realize this Capitals team is incredibly deep. Why isn't Sprong playing reliable minutes on the power play? Why isn't McMichael on the power play at all? Why is Sheary on the top unit when he isn't creating enough chances for him to even be remotely close to that situation or remotely close to that possibility? Why aren't you just considering the fact that maybe having Orlov out there on the top unit might work nowadays? Why not have Schultz out there, since that's literally one of the things he's done his entire career? Why don't you try anybody else on the power play? Why are you rolling out the same 5 guys on the top unit that won't work? And then when everybody comes back and things aren't working, why aren't you shaking up the second unit with new, fresh people? Why aren't you just trying anything? I feel like that really shitty TSN meme where the guy is literally saying, for God's sakes, just score a power play goal. You have Alex Ovechkin. This isn't like me asking you to solve the fucking Da Vinci formula. This is me asking you to score a goal with the greatest goal scorer of all time on the left circle with nobody ever able to find a way to solve him. He's done this for 17 years. You're telling me you're 18. He's now all of a sudden been figured out. We're now at this point. This is utterly unbelievable. I'm going to shut up and let everybody else talk because I'm getting mad.
I don't think anybody else needs to say anything. I think that was perfect. I think.
Oh, no. Objection, Your Honor.
What do you mean objection?
Objection. Ovechkin, you said it. He has 12 power play points, correct?
Correct.
He has 6 power play goals. I'm assuming I'm reading this correctly.
Yes.
What happens every time? What happens every time on Twitter? Alex Ovechkin scores a goal.
We all love
Everyone gets happy.
Exactly. That's the point of your first power play unit. Feed Ovechkin.
Yeah, but it's not working. It's not happening.
Who cares? Ovechkin needs his goals.
He's a weapon on the power play, but
6
when
isn't
you look
enough.
at power plays, we faced the fucking top power play in St. Louis the other day. And the reason of the top power play unit is because they don't rely simply on a one-trick pony. And I love Ovechkin. He's probably the best one-trick pony of all time. I'm not disagreeing with that. But at this point, you're coming into his age 36 season. Like, he's not going to be able to just find ways magically open by himself. He's going to have to work for it harder now because people are going to pay attention to it. He's still going to find those chances. Everybody does. It's like Carl Haglin has stumbled onto multiple breakaways this season. I'm sure Ovechkin will find a couple here and there. But, you can't, just force that. Look at the Blues. The Blues have a very similar model. Tarasenko, built very similar to how Ovechkin is. A very dangerous shot on the left wing, doing a lot of the one-timing. But then you have guys like Ryan O'Reilly on the opposite circle, who's just as dangerous. You have, obviously, Parayko at the point, or Krug at the point, whichever one they rotate. You have Buchnevich, Sammy Blais, he's not there anymore. You have a bunch of different talents. You have Perron, all these guys, they can funnel in and make things work. We are throwing Conor Sheary out there, and Conor Sheary doesn't want to do anything to get anywhere near the paint. It's just annoying. And this is Blaine Forsythe's fault because he can literally change this. Yes, yeah.
I will say, calling back to how much you dislike Conor Sheary, he is 6th in our team on power play points.
I don't give a shit what position he is. I don't care.
But
Gordon Hathaway's 5th in goals on this team. You see me want this season is the season from hell.
I will say, Evgeny Kuznetsov's power play goal the other day was actually
nice.
Very nice.
That was really
very nice. I was very happy about that. The one-timer from the right circle, that was nice. But as a whole, I think Joey summarized it, or
there's
more than summarize. Okay, yeah, just go ahead.
I think the problem also is when you look at a power play, especially the successful power plays, you need more than one puck handler. You need more than 2 really capable puck handlers. And I love Alexander Ovechkin to death. The dude is not a power play puck handler. And so if that's the case, and obviously you're not going to take Ovechkin off your power play. I mean, that's nonsense, right? Obviously you need that powerful shot. He's still there. Kuznetsov can handle the puck and Karlsson can handle the puck. It physically pains me to see Tom Wilson on the power play. Yes, he's a big body you can throw in front of the net.
Yeah.
But when they play him down low and they ask him to control the puck the way Backstrom or Eller even, it just hurts because that's not what he's good at. And when they throw him down there in that lower spot, I don't actually know the name. The same for Sherry. And they ask them to control the puck in a way that Backstrom or Kuznetsov or Carlson from a different position would. That's why we lose the zone so damn often, because we don't have enough guys on our power play who have really good hands and are really good at controlling the puck. And I would like to see Lars Eller out there on the first unit if we're really struggling. I wouldn't even mind seeing Conor Mcmichael on the first unit. I think McMichael's got great hands. Daniel Sprong has looked like he's had good hands lately. But throw somebody out there who can control the puck down low quickly and effectively and pass it quickly until we get Backstrom back. And I know we're getting Backstrom back, but it would not surprise me if we lose somebody important given how the season's gone.
But doesn't that, speaking as an outsider, isn't that why you have Wilson out there, because you don't have Oshie and Backstrom?
That is why. That's
yeah,
true.
but I feel like they're a better substitute.
But you can't expect that out of him. I mean, he's not a down low guy. I'll agree with that.
Exactly. That's why I don't think he should be out there. That's my problem.
Connor Sheary is.
I'm not blaming Tom
man
Wilson
out on the power play. In my
Yeah, it's not Tom Wilson's fault. It's just not his forte. He's not the guy that we should be putting in that substituting position. I think there are guys, like Will said, I think there are guys that are more well suited or equipped for that type of down low puck handling role, because we pay Tom Wilson to rough guys up and score an occasional goal and get some assists, but the forte of his game is being a big body who gets people out of the way and opens the ice up for other players. But
that doesn't work.
Not being a power player.
You're already a player. He doesn't really have a reason to be out there. And this I relate this to one thing in particular, and EA is gonna have a laugh with this, is that our lovely Ravens, who got eliminated today, their offensive coordinator Greg Roman would always talk about how there's this magical vault of plays that they're willing to go into at any time to throw them out there. And against the Steelers, facing elimination, he didn't throw any new or existing plays. I feel like Blaine Forsythe has this magical vault where he's like, I have all the answers of the power play. Like the Kuznetsov play yesterday was really creative. It went to Ovechkin. Instead of shooting, he threw it to the opposite wing where Kuznetsov had a one-timer, and it was able to catch a goaltender going east to west, and it was perfect. Why aren't we doing that more? like even with the guys in personnel being out, you think Daniel Sprong can handle something like that? You think Tom Wilson can handle that? You think Conor McMichael can't handle that? Do you think Nick Dowd can handle that? Like, at this point, I'm almost begging for them to put Nick Dowd on the power play just to see if something can happen with that. Because at this point, we're literally costing ourselves goals before we even step on the power play. We're literally throwing the puck at our own net before we even throw it to theirs, a man up. And that's just becoming an absolute, at this point, it's no longer a case of it's early in the season. We're almost halfway into the season and we're bottom league in the power play. And I can't believe that Blaine Forsythe's still in the job.
Hey, do you hate Blaine Forsythe?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I can tell.
I don't hate him as a person. He's probably a great person, but as the Capitals power play coordinator, he needs to be ceremoniously fired.
Who was it that you said something like that about last year? Was it Matt Murray or something? You're like, Matt Murray's a really great person. He's not the best player, but he's a really he's a really great guy.
Matt Murray's a great guy, but I hate him for being on the Penguins for all those years and beating us. That's exactly.
Are you willing to entertain the idea that Carl Hagelin might be a good guy?
No.
He has good hair. He doesn't need anything else in life.
And you saw what happened. You want to put that man on the power play?
Carl Hagelin has good hair. He doesn't.
I just
need
meant as a good
else.
human being.
They put all his attributes into hair. They forgot about the hands.
Dude spent all of his VC on looks. All right, so let's make some predictions and then wrap up. So coming up this week, like we said before, tomorrow we play at home versus the Bruins. Then on Saturday we play in New York against the Islanders, and then on Sunday we have a matinee versus the Canucks at home. I guess we can just run through some predictions. Here's who wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Jakey,
I think we win one out of those three. I think we beat the Islanders. I think we lose to the Bruins and lose to the Canucks. That's it. Ovechkin goal in one of those games, though.
I'm gonna say that we beat the Bruins tomorrow just because the Caps have never lost a game with me in the arena. So hopefully that stays true. But
Is the Canucks game going to get postponed though because they're still not letting teams cross? Or
It's in
teams coming into the U.S. have been okay.
They can. Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, yeah. So I'll say we beat the Bruins tomorrow. I think it's going to be a close game. Hopefully, it's not us getting shit stomped for the game that I decided to go to this year for the first time in like 2 years. But I'll say that we beat the Islanders. I think it'll be tough just because it's in New York, but at the same time, they haven't been doing so great at home this year. And for the Canucks, I'll say that we lose just because they've been so hot with Bruce. There it is. But I guess we'll see. Will, Joey, or Richard, if you have predictions.
I can just say mine real quick. I think we destroy the Bruins 9-0 since I'll be on an airplane and I can't watch. I think we're gonna lose to the Islanders because Matt Barzal seems to like take methamphetamine before every game and just go absolutely crazy. So I think we're probably gonna lose to the Islanders. I just think like that just feels like a trap game. It feels like a 2-1 loss where Barzal has 2 goals. The Bruce Boudreau like redemption arc of the Canucks is a temporary thing. I think we can beat them.
I think they still have one more game in them. At least.
There's no revenge arc tour here.
Brucey boys got one more ass whooping for us ready. I guess I'll go and we'll finish up with our guest. I think we have. Here's the thing. EA has made a great point. He's got a great record when they go and he goes and see them. But I am like the opposite. I have been to 8 Capitals games in my life.
Joey, if you fuck this up for me, I'm going to be very upset.
You bought me the ticket.
You paid me back. Don't give the audience
you
any
got
ideas
mad
like
because I
I'm
almost didn't pay you back the dollar, bro. I don't want to hear it.
No, you stick on top. Stay on topic.
The point is, I think I'm like 4-4 in games when I go see the Capitals so far in my life. Yes, I'm 4-4. I've seen 4 losses. I've seen 4 wins. Against the Atlantic teams, I'm 1-1. I've seen the Toronto Maple Leafs and we beat them. We've lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Point is, I think me and EA are going to start a wonderful streak where Pizzas Here podcast members are undefeated when going to Capitals games. Together, not alone, Will. Together. And
I've yet to see them lose at home still though.
So I think they win 4-4. I'm gonna say actually 5 to. I think it's gonna be a barn burner. It's gonna be 5-4. I'm gonna see dueling hat tricks from David Pastrnak and Alex Ovechkin. Against the Islanders, I don't care. I hope the entirety of Long Island sinks to the ocean still. But I will say we win 3-1. And then speaking of former Capitals head coach, our Brucey boys in Vancouver. Oh man, they played so much better. I'd say we lose that game just because they played a lot better and they've been really good. So yeah.
All right. And Richard, do you have any predictions for our games this week?
For Monday night against the Boston Bruins, I myself am 1-0. They're at Capital One Arena.
Are you going to the game tomorrow?
No. I'm just saying my own personal record there too. I'm 1-0 there. I saw Alex Ovechkin take warm-ups and it made me realize every single story about that man is true. Now, concerning the game on Monday, this feels like a Capitals are pissed off type game. This feels like where they're just going to try and take it to Boston. I'm going to say 4-2 the final with an Ovechkin empty netter to seal it, and you will go home happy, mostly. Saturday against the Islanders, I'll take the Capitals there because it's New York and Long Island. They do not have the magic that they did the past 2 years. The heavy road schedule has really hurt them. And the Eggman Cuckoo has just not had it this year. If these guys keep losing, they will be heavy sellers down by the trade deadline. And you got to take advantage of teams like that. So I'm going to say a 2-1 final there. And just because I'm an optimist, Barbecue Bruce will get a loss in his return. Let's get nuts. 5-2 the final. 5-2.
I definitely like the sound of that. Let's hope that you're right. Did you have any questions for us before we wrap everything up?
I think one I asked you guys a while ago is how'd you come up with the name Pizzas Here, because
someone had shot it into the thank you, by the way, but we were, when we first started the show, you know, it was more of a joke, and I had posted about it, and then the three of them all commented and they're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So we made a group chat and we're like, you know, hell yeah, let's do this thing, and hopped in a Discord call and just started shooting the shits. And within 5 minutes of talking to all of each other, it was just like we had known each other for so long, and we were like, you know, we need to come up with a name. And we had shot around a couple ideas. We had one that was like the intersection of the street names and by Capital One Arena. I can't remember what it is, like 6th Street, 6th and F or some shit like that. Something like that. And then we were like, it doesn't have like a great ring to it.
Awesome.
And then we were like, oh, we could make it a DC sports show. And then we're like, no, Jake's an Eagles fan. Me and Joey are Ravens fans. It just wouldn't work. And I don't like, we still, I'm sure we could. I think if you scroll back in the group chat that far, you can't even find it. But we don't know which one of us came up with the name. But, you know, we referenced the name back, as you know, as I'm assuming you know, to the Alexander Ovechkin commercials with Papa John's, where he would deliver people pizzas and kick their doors down, yelling "Pizzas Here." And you know, we've just took it and ran with it from then. So like you said, when we asked you at the beginning of the episode with how you started your show, it's been a hell of a ride so far. Hopefully we can get Carl Alsner one day like you did and everyone else. But, you know, we've just been enjoying having so many interesting and experienced guests on the show. And, you know, we hope to keep it going from here. So,
yeah just keep at it. That's all I can keep saying. Keep pumping out content. You know, there is a market for sports fans podcasts, not analytic guys, former players telling stories. Not that those aren't fun, but in this day, not just on YouTube and out here on whatever podcast network, there is a real market for fans to connect to other fans' podcasts. And I think what you lads are doing are great. Keep at it. Keep grinding. It's going to pay off one way or another, and it already has. You got the great Joe Beninati on there. And my dream guest one day is Uncle Doc. He says he's called games.
Doc Emmerich, I'm gonna cry. I love Doc Emmerich.
Not if I don't cry first, because I probably will. And before we do wrap this up, I do have a bit of a confession to make to you guys. All of you said where your loyalties were. I am a Capitals fan more by affiliation, and I feel like I need to be a bit honest with you guys as to where my heart lies. If some of you have seen it on Twitter, you know where it does lie.
Aren't you? You're a Pens fan, aren't you? It was nice having you on the show today.
See you later, buddy.
Up now.
Yep, done. No, but in all seriousness, though. But you know, I just because I like to be honest with everyone, but that's where it is. I tried not to bring it up too much here, but even though speaking as a dirty, rotten, filthy Yinzer, I was very happy this team won the Stanley Cup, because this organization, as hard as it's worked for, finally got it. And I was happy to see Ovechkin get that monkey off his back, even though Kuznetsov does that eagle thing all the time.
Sounds good. We'll end the show with just a statement of fact this time. Actually, Ovechkin will go down as a greater player all time than Sidney Crosby.
Yes, sir.
Thanks everybody for coming on.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you next weekend.
Thanks for listening. Have a good night. Good night,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Another Yinzer on next week, so it'll be fun. That's on the true Yinzer.
Good night, Pittsburgh.
Oh, hell yes. We're bringing everybody from Pittsburgh on. See you guys next week. Peace out. All right, we're out.